Listen, there's a lot to chat about, okay? Number one in the NFC has been secured through the playoffs. Home field advantage at Lambeau has been secured through the playoffs. The MVP for his fourth and going back to back. Because he did it last year and then he's doing it this year, which means he's going back to back. MVP is all but secured. Living a high life, coming fresh off a Monday Night Manning appearance in which they broke down some football, told some stories, and even had a little book club moment in the middle of that thing that set the world on fire. There's a lot to chat about. AJ Hawk joining us now is a man who just won his second MVP in 2 years. A man who just beat the living dog shit out of the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. Had an electrifying appearance on Monday Night Manning in his home field advantage all the way through the playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah!
Wow, dude! Dude, good hat!
Thanks for the hat, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Happy it looks great on the head right there. Hey, you are a beanie guy now at this point with the hair, huh? Has that become the full winter look, yeah?
It helps keep it out of my face for sure. I mean, I can, tie it up, a nice little bun or a pony, but I enjoy the beanie, keep it all in the same spot.
All right, well, let's lead off with last night on Monday Night Manning. You have mentioned that broadcast on this show numerous times throughout the season. You told them at the end of it you enjoy it all. Going in there, what were your thoughts? What were your plans? And how did you think it went? I thought you crushed it on there, pal, and thank you for the love. You're a very nice person for that, too kind. Thank you for the love, but I thought you crushed it last night, Aaron.
Well, I told the truth, and I really enjoy that story about you coming through and helping me out in the Bahamas. I was embarrassed when I asked you to do stand-up. And I was like, oh crap! I just, did I ruin it by asking him to do something that wasn't really appropriate? And you were unbelievable, bro. You took the mic from me. You started on the jokes. I mean, it was legendary. It was one of those moments like in Step Brothers where they're in the garage and talking about and they keep John Stamos, Good Housekeeping, and did we just become best friends? That's how I felt when I watched you give that stand-up performance, and I'll always be appreciative of that. And
that's awesome!
And
what a performance, dude!
You were a legend then. But last night was fun. I enjoyed watching. When those guys are on, I do watch Monday Night Football, and I enjoy the guests and Bill Carr. Talking about all things Pittsburgh and the commissioner and his quarter zip, and then obviously Snoop Dogg was amazing, and I got to bring it home. But it was fun to be a part of that. They do such a great job, and they have such high level conversations about football. It's fun to be on there and add a little something to it.
You ever think you could do something like that whenever you're done playing? I'm not saying with Peyton and Eli, maybe with Peyton and Eli. If you guys all got in the same room together, is that something you could see happening?
I mean, I don't know. I think it'd be fun to do something like that. There's been, obviously, I've seen some critiques that they don't talk enough football. They're not following the game action. There is a little bit of a,
Who cares? Let them do what they want.
Yeah, they're fucking Manning.
Yeah, there's that delay that sometimes you're talking over each other, but I love it. I think it's great. They have some great conversations. They poke fun of themselves and each other. Some great videos that they show throughout the time. They do a good job of teasing their guests, and it's awesome. I love it. I think in being thanks to you, Pat, and the encouragement. Being a big fan of Ted Lasso, one of my favorite characters on the show is Roy Kent, and Roy Kent is unabashedly himself. And when he goes on the program and talks football with those guys, that to me is how I would, who I would kind of relate to as an analyst. That sharp-witted. Honesty, maybe not as far as he goes, because he used some real colorful language in some of the critiques he had, but I do enjoy people who can be themselves and not the cookie cutter cliche ridden stuff that we've seen from time to time on TV. And that's why I do appreciate and enjoy some of the guys you're seeing, men and women in the business who are making a name for themselves. A few on TV and a few in the broadcast booth. We've gotten the pleasure to work with Greg Olson, a former player, a few times who's called our games. I think he does a fantastic job. And I've actually watched a few of his games that he's done because I enjoy his commentary. I think he calls it like he sees it. He's insightful. He does a good job. And we were all spoiled growing up by watching, for me, Keith Jackson and Dan Fouts in college, and John Madden and Pat Summerall and Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Deerdorf on the Monday Night Football so long ago. And there was just such a special flow to those broadcasts. And there's some great ones going now. I enjoy watching Sunday Night Football, and we work in the NFC's Fox, so I enjoy immensely working with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman and Aaron Andrews on that team, which has done so many of our games over the years. They do a great job.
You guys need not hug each other, okay?
Look, I've known EA for a long time, and I think the whole thing is obviously a little bit strange. You got to do some sort of 8 feet apart interview, and that's my friend. The same way I'd hug a friend seeing him on the field, or hug a guy on the opposing team that you have respect for when you play against. Look, I do what I'm told in those situations about keeping distance, but I'm a hugger, and I enjoy seeing my friends, post game.
You are a hugger. You are a lover. You're a yeah, you are. Okay, you're out there doing your thing. And I know there was people, especially after watching you talk football with Peyton last night, where you guys were talking about some play where you decided to cut it, and you actually saw Peyton straighten up a little bit, and Eli as well. Like those conversations that only a few of you can have with each other, I think are what make the Monday Night Manning really cool. Tom Brady and he had a couple of those. Russell Wilson, I think he was in the middle of breaking down film as it was happening. I think those high-level conversations are sweet. But all I could think of while I heard you speaking that is there's no way this dude retires, right? You love the game so much, it feels like every single time you speak about the game. Now, there's obviously a lot of shit that comes with being an NFL quarterback, being the MVP, being a celebrity. But you said you love ball. I think every time you speak about it, you prove it even more. There's no way that's ever been a thought, has it really? And have you ever thought about the future, aside from the Jeopardy, have you ever thought about the future in that type of sports media world?
Not really, to be honest. I enjoy, watching men and women who do it well at a high level. I think, there's a dedication to the craft that the best ones have that's fun. And it's very evident when you're in production meetings with people who love it, who spend time on it, who are very particular about their questions. They want to waste your time. They ask really pointed, solid questions. And, just like, in the last week, people were talking about their interaction with Madden and how fun that was to do production with them. I've always loved working with Al Michaels. And you guys have had Al on the show many times. And I know he's talked about how much he enjoys those production meetings. But being there with him and Chris and Michelle and Freddie and the crew, it's a lot of fun. I mean, those are really fun conversations. And Al always has, one or two anecdotes that make you smile, stat he might bring up, or a memory, and those are fun, and you love those. But I've also given a lot of my life to this game. I didn't start playing until 8th grade. I obviously played 4 years in high school, played 3 in college, in my 17th. At some point, the ride stops and you got to get off. And, you want to, I think, still be able to play, still be able to walk, still be able to have, cognitive brain function when you're done playing. Those are important. And I've really been trying this year to just stay in the present as much as possible. I know it's hard because people want to, they want to talk about, my future and what I want to do. And I respect that and I appreciate that. But for me, I can't, have 2 feet in the past, living in the nostalgia of what we've accomplished and amazing memories, or 2 feet in the future, thinking about, the decisions that are looming moving forward. I've just really tried to remain in the present, and that's allowed me to just enjoy the little things. I said it last year, how special that was to me, and a lot of that is just the mindset, this perspective, what you focus on and where your focus is, your energy flows. And my focus has been on this team and these guys and the relationships that I have with the players and the coaches and the front office and the equipment guys and the trainers and the cafeteria staff and all those things that make every day going to work that much more special. I think that allows you to just live with a little bit more gratitude, a little bit more joy every day.
Hey, speaking of someone on your team right now who's an absolute stud, obviously Davante Adams, and we know what you think of him and how unstoppable you guys are, which is very fun to watch. But there's reports say that if they don't come up with a long-term solution for him, he'll be tagged next year. So likely Davante is going to be on the Packers next year. You guys have this rapport. Could you ever see yourself building a rapport like that with anybody else, especially this late in your career?
And before you get to that, Aaron, look at these are real stats. I don't know if you know this or not, but Davante Adams, 151 targets, and I know in the quarterback world, targets.
You got to just stay around and dominate, man. Why would you go anywhere else?
AJ Hawk, Green Bay Packer legend, saying his thing. But 108 receptions, that's the most
retired.
by 58. 1,411 yards, that's the most by anybody by 984 yards since 2020. The stats between you and Davante, it's a joke, Aaron. It is watching you two play. That back shoulder is like 7'11". And whenever they said he was probably going to get franchise tag, just like AJ, I think we all thought immediately, like, whoa, that's a little bit of a different thing we hadn't heard yet.
Well, that's definitely a possibility, and that's one of the things that a lot of older vets were trying to fight against in the last negotiation was to eliminate the tag because it doesn't allow for the freedom that free agency offers. But yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Why would you, as a team, ever want to let that guy get away? He's obviously already cemented himself as a Packer Hall of Famer, and he has a legitimate shot to be a Gold Jacket guy. If he continues down this path. I've talked about my own personal feelings on the Hall of Fame and how it should be somebody who's top three at their position for an extended amount of time, years. And obviously, Davante's proven that at least the last 3 years, and the numbers that he's put together and the incredible accolades that he's achieved. But yeah, I mean, there's obviously something real special about our relationship, and I've had some great ones with a number of guys over the years. Davante seems to be, like I said last week, the most talented guy I've played with, but he has an incredible focus on the field, an incredible ability to communicate his thoughts in a way that gives the guy pulling the trigger a lot of confidence in throwing the ball his way. So I'm thankful for him. I'm thankful for our relationship. I'm thankful for his leadership, the way he's led his room, the way he's spoken up at times. He's got that perfect leadership dynamic where he knows when it's his time to speak, and based on his ability and what he's accomplished, he has a platform. Guys listen when he talks, and he uses those opportunities to clearly and concisely deliver kind of the focus that's needed for the guys to get on the same page. So I truly respect him as obviously his talent is undeniable, but I respect the way that he's grown as a leader for our football team.
Is he always open in your eyes? Because there was a couple back shoulders where it appeared as if the guy had perfect coverage. There's nothing at all that can happen. And Chris Collinsworth was trying to point out the late hands lift that veteran wide receivers all kind of do. And I don't know if the two that were necessarily spotlighted were the best examples of that, but that does happen on a regular basis. Yeah, you probably thought the same thing. You just watched it back. But yeah, is he always open? Is that in your mind? Is it like if you see some sort of coverage where, okay, there's only one human that's going to be in the area of Davante, is that just an always on thing in your mind? Like, if whatever happens, I know I have this dude that is going to make a catch for me. Is that something that is a real thought for you?
How can it not be? I mean, the guy's proven that he's going to make a lot of plays for you. So that's definitely in the mindset. I think there's certain times we're a little more aggressive throwing him certain types of throws because you feel better about the possibility of a catch. The game is about percentages. It's about making the highest percentage decision each time, and that can change based on the score of the game, the time of the game, momentum that's going on, where you might need to take a higher risk in a certain situation and throw a ball that you might not throw in the first quarter and the third quarter to kind of get a jolt. I felt like, and I mentioned it, that I kind of predetermined an early throw to Davante. I felt like that we needed a little bit of a jolt getting going, and we hadn't been great on our first drives the entire season. We only got a field goal the other night, but I felt like getting the ball to him early was gonna get him going, get him in the game, and when he's rolling, our entire team obviously plays a little bit better because you want to get your best player of football as many times as possible.
And AJ has one, but I got to follow up on that because I actually wrote this down in my notes section as I was watching the game because you've said that percentages thing before because I've asked you memes of, fuck it, Davante's down there somewhere, and you said there's no fuck it throws. There's percentages higher or lower depending upon the play and who we're against and who it is. Has Alan Lazard raised in the percentages whenever you go, oh, fuck it sometimes? Because there was a throw, I think it was down the left sideline, you dropped it in a bucket to him where he was clearly covered, and he went and made a big-time fucking play, and Lazard has made a few of those. Have you, felt him raising in your, confidence level in the middle of the game? Is that because of off-the-field stuff? Is it because on-field performance? What is it, just chemistry building?
Well, off the field, we've definitely gotten closer this year. we've both been in the unvaccinated category the entire year. So
you sons of bitches!
That puts us in a separate category of, workouts and rules and restrictions. So there has been more time spent together, which has been great. He's a great human. I mean, he really is. He's a big-hearted, caring guy who really cares about his craft and improving. He does all the little things. He doesn't have an overpowering ego. He has a very healthy ego. And I think that the Rams game was a turning point. He had a couple opportunities in that game and didn't come up with the plays. And I know he was disappointed. I was disappointed. And we came back against Chicago, I believe, the next week. And I threw him a ball on like 3rd and 16. He was running a deep cross. And as I threw it, it looked like one of those, And Allen went up and made a contested catch, kind of over 3 guys. And maybe it was that play. You'd have to ask him. But I think there's always plays in our career that give us kind of a course correction, where we might have been going down one way mentally, confidence-wise, belief. One thing happens, and we immediately course correct and go in an opposite direction, which is, can be negative for sure. There can be negative plays, but in this case, it was a very positive play for him. And since then, he's made a number of contested catches for us, big plays. He caught, obviously, touchdown 443, which was awesome. I'm really proud of him. And maybe it was that play. Maybe it was just an inner belief that was strengthened during that week. But it does often take plays like that to get guys in a different headspace. And I'm proud of the way Allen's responded. And he's put together 4 really good games.
Hey, so what's the plan for you now these next couple of weeks, and how quickly after you guys dominated the Vikings did you guys start talking about what the plan may look like here leading into the playoffs?
Well, right away, actually. I mean, there's conversation in the locker room. Tay and I had already, we had a conversation pretty quickly after the game. And then Matt and I had a conversation. We had further conversations yesterday, but, the plan is to play. It's a double-edged sword that often the media can use either way. If we go out and play, we risk injury, obviously, but there's risk every single time you step on the field with injury. What's the point of doing it? If you go out and then play great in the divisional round, well, of course, that's because they played last week, But like in 11, we were 14-1. A lot of us set out the last game. Matt Flynn went out and made a bunch of money balling out. Shout out to Matt Flynn.
Shout out.
Love Matty, one of my favorite all-time teammates. And then we went out in the division round, played against the Giants, and made a bunch of mistakes. We turned the ball over, fumbled, gave up a Hail Mary, and everybody's like, well, that's because they didn't play in Week 17 against the Lions. Obviously, they were rusty and this and that. And I don't necessarily believe in that, but I feel like there's something to momentum, and I've talked about momentum on this show before. I'm a believer in it, and we've been playing a lot better on offense the last half of the season, and I think it's important for us to keep that momentum going and go out and play. I'm not sure how long, that means to play, but I know there's a lot of us who would like to go out there and play well. The ones that are injured that we're hoping to get back, you'd love to see them get some time in this week. Most of the time, age, we're a little conservative, I think, with injuries, so I don't maybe expect a lot of those guys to be out there, but there's exciting prospects down the line of people who could come back from injury.
No Bakhtiari this week is what I just heard.
Yep.
No Bakhtiari is what I just heard. I mean, that's not breaking news, but you said, with the Green Bay Packers, the way we do things, a little conservative, don't look to see it. Maybe drop them in deep end, see if they can get their feet under them a little bit before a big-time playoff game, but also let's keep them healthy until we are. Okay, I like what you just did there. A little information, a little passive-aggressive there. Whenever you talked about sitting or playing, you said a lot of people have ideas. Peyton Manning, you asked him about last night. I got to be in the locker room whenever we were and I was a rookie, so I don't say anything. I just sit there and that team was pissed that they had to rest the last 2 games. It was Peyton and Robert and Freeney and everybody basically on that squad, Reggie, you name it, goes down. They wanted to go perfect. Like, hey, no team, 1972 Dolphins were the only ones that did it. We win 14 straight. We don't lose until we literally decide to lose, and that decision was made above Jim Caldwell's head. A lot of people on the internet were like, Peyton's burying Tony Dungy. Well, Tony Dungy wasn't even the coach then, I don't think. And maybe they did it a bunch of times when Tony was the coach, but when I was there, Jim Caldwell was the coach, and I don't think he was making that decision at all. We end up losing in the Super Bowl, so it's not really talked about much, but I don't think there was many people happy about potentially losing it there. It's especially now with college bowls. Have you heard the college bowl conversation? That thing, it is all, right now, every decision that's made is being scrutinized.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily need to add an opinion to that. I think that there's a lot of pride that is associated with college football, but now there's a lot of money involved in it too.
Yeah.
And with the NIL and with agents getting involved, there's a lot more cooks in the kitchen who are telling you whether to play or not to play. When I was, my last game at Cal, we played in the Holiday Bowl after somehow getting bounced out of the Rose Bowl by some real nefarious voting situations.
Oh.
But there wasn't even a question of whether or not we were going to play in the Holiday Bowl. Now we went out there and got our butts kicked by Texas Tech, and Mike Smith, one of our linebacker coach, ceases to, remind me about that. But nobody was doing it. Nobody was not playing. Now, obviously, there's so much money on the line and other people involved in that decision making. You're seeing a lot of guys not play. I think it's those kids' decisions. I think there's a lot to be said about the pride of playing, but there's it's a different ballgame in 2021, 2022 than it was back in 2004 making that decision.
Hindsight is the only winner in all this shit. You know what I mean? Hindsight is always the winner. Hindsight is always right. And when people have to make these, like for instance, you playing when you already got an MVP. By the way, congrats, dude.
Yeah.
Congrats, dude. You already got the MVP, you already got the number one seed all the way through the NFC. You playing, a lot of people will point at and be like, Aaron played. Aaron went out there and played when they already had this whole thing locked out. And then on the other side, they'll be like, well, what if that'll?
Sounds like about 2 series maybe.
Yeah, it does sound like he's going to complete some passes. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It does sound like that's the case. Maybe the first half, maybe a couple
tuds.
Any records to go get? Maybe
get that ball out quick, get a few touchdowns, and call it a day.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I still had 500. Still had 500 passes attempt under 5 interceptions. Only quarterback in the history to ever do that. I mean, that's what we're looking at on Sunday.
Wow.
Let's stay safe. Let's go win some football games. Go ahead, Ty.
Aaron, I don't know how much you watched the post game stuff last night with Big Ben, and obviously, you're like you said, you're kind of focused on what's going on right now. But you've also talked about how much respect you have for guys like Kobe and Tim Duncan, who played their entire career with one team. Like, if you did watch any of that stuff with Ben last night, does your mind ever kind of wander to like, oh, it would be cool, like if whenever my time is done, it's in Green Bay, and I kind of get that reception and like can close the book on my career? Like, does your mind drift to anything like that, or not really? Or are you just focused on what's going on right now?
I mean, I think you know me. Of course, you think about those things when you're me. I mean, I think that's a part of the perspective and nostalgic appreciation for being in the same spot for 17 years. And Ben, like I said last night, Ben and Eli and Phil were in the draft right before me, and seeing those guys and the careers they had. And, until Phil went to Indy, those are guys who are one organization guys. It's super rare in professional sports, and there's a lot to be said for that. And so I just felt, a lot of gratitude for being able to compete against Ben. And, I was just thinking about how special that was for him, to have his family down there. It's interesting because one of my favorite players growing up was Barry Sanders, and after the Niners and being a fan of Favre, I was always a fan of Barry Sanders. I just loved the way that he ran. He was so elusive. He was a trailblazer in his running style. He handed the ball to the official after he scored a touchdown. I just felt like he was just so classy. And if you remember, he retired with like a little note. Hey guys, thanks. It was fun. I'm out. And I always thought how cool that was. He loved the game, but he never was bigger than the game. And I think that's a great way to do it. I think to get the fanfare and respect like Ben did at Heinz Field last night was awesome as well. I think he deserves that. He's given 18 years. He's an adult in Pittsburgh. He's given his life. I think he said last night almost, nearly half of his life he's lived in Pittsburgh and played for the Steelers. It's pretty special. So I think there's some positives to both those things, but I don't think I said this. I would never want a farewell tour. I just think that that has worked for some guys and been great and cool, and I respect that. But that's not something that I want.
When did you or Ben start this, you think? Who started doing this first to the fans? Because they talked about it last night by Riddick, Greasy, and Levy, they talked about the fanfare and the love between city and quarterback. Because Pittsburgh and Ben, he came from a factory dad, blue collar. He bought into Pittsburgh. He was out on the south side in North Shore. They saw him hammering booze whenever he's young, and he won a bunch, and he showed up, and he was tough, and he fought through injuries. And there's a lot of this. And I don't know if he's doing it just to his family, but he's also doing it to all of Pittsburgh. You do it as well. Who do you think started that? And when did you start saying this to Green Bay? Do you think it's because you didn't think they heard enough? Like, you didn't get to explain it enough? Why did that all start, you think? For you, at least.
I just think, there's special moments that happen at the end of games. And that walk off the field, man, is a special moment. And I've just always enjoyed that. And you can't help but have a deep-seated love for your job, for the gifts in your life, for the opportunity, and for the response from the fans in that moment. And for me, it was just an outward expression of an inward feeling of just love and gratitude for the years of support and the years of love and appreciation for what I've accomplished on the field and what we've accomplished. And so it was, it's just been an outward representation of how I feel about the fans and how I feel about the amazing opportunity I've been given to be quarterback in Green Bay for all these years.
You ever think about that, like when you first got to Green Bay and you first got in the lineup, like, okay, you're replacing Brett Favre, this country dude, awesome, gunslinger. You come in from Cali, probably silver spooner, like, everything handed to you your whole life. Yeah. You come into this hardworking, gritty town in Green Bay, and you know how the people are, and you eventually won them over through your great play. Like, did you ever think it would turn out this way?
I hoped for sure. I knew I was going to be a little different. I wasn't, I wasn't tackling my teammates and doing all things Brett Favre.
Wranglers, you were Wranglers.
Right, wearing the Wranglers and pumping up the copper sleeve.
It works.
I knew I was going to do things a little differently being from Cali, but I think an important part of being a quarterback, face of the franchise, is embracing the culture. And I feel like I've done that. I've lived here for 17 years. I got friends outside of football who live in this town. I love the interactions with the fans. I mean, they basically know, where they could possibly see me. It's one of like 3 places. But I enjoy the culture here. And I've made my own kind of bingo list, or not really bingo, maybe it's more like a scavenger hunt list of things you got to do in Green Bay. That's what I always tell. Like I tell the young quarterbacks in the room or some of the young players, here's some of the things you got to do to ingrain yourself in the culture of Green Bay. I'm talking about going to a supper club, going to a fish fry on Friday or Saturday, going to a supper club and doing that. You got to go ride the roller coaster at Bay Beach. That's an important one. You got to spend time in Door County. You got to go to the Frosty Tip in Dykesville.
Oh, yeah, the Frosty Tip, dude. That place don't fuck around.
It's a good place, man. But there's some core kind of, you got to go ice fishing. There's some core Green Bay, Wisconsin things that I think are important to kind of ingratiate yourself with the community and with the culture. And I've embraced those. Even eating cheese curds, which unless they're fried, to me have absolutely zero taste and definitely no nutritional value. But it's one of those things you just do to become a part of the culture. And I've enjoyed those and loved those and loved my time here. I'm a Cali boy still. I like warm weather and I love going to the beach. But I do enjoy the long frozen winters here in Green Bay as a nice change.
I think I asked you last week, but I want to follow up on it. You're like a small town guy, and a lot of people at your position, especially nowadays, would be trying their, especially with the celebrity that comes with being you. You're covered. There's fake yous coming out of coffee shops in the middle of Los Angeles, in the middle. You know what I mean? Like the fact that you still choose and want to be in a small town, I think it says a lot about the person that you are. Honestly, I truly believe it. Do you recognize that? Do you see yourself as that type of person? Is that something you're very okay with, and it's not that big of a deal because wherever you are, you can make the most of it anyways?
I think so. I mean, although I have a house in Southern California now.
Malibu, it's a nice one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen it on TMZ. Yep. It is so nice. That's a nice house, dude. That elevator goes from the top all the way down to the bottom. That place is nice, dude. Yeah, we've seen it. Tight.
We've
You've
seen
seen
it.
it.
We've seen it.
Yeah.
You're close to getting an invite, Pat. Ty, you're already invited.
Oh, I'm happy. I don't care. Ty, FaceTime me.
I will.
Connor, because of all your book breakdowns, you're probably invited too.
Okay.
FaceTime me.
Big day.
This is awesome. That's in Malibu. We've seen it on the internet. Anyways, yeah.
But I grew up in a small town, man. I grew up in small towns all over Northern California. I mean, I lived in places nobody's ever heard of. I live in, Forest Ranch, Magalia, Lakeport, Ukiah, California. Moved to Oregon, back to Chico, California, a college town. Right in the valley there. Closest big city is probably Sacramento. It's a farming town. It's a college town. It's blue collar people. It's a small town vibe where everybody knows everybody, but it's big enough where there's new people coming in, and the college life brings a fun energy to it. But I grew up in a small town, so I have appreciation for small town people and the mentality of a hardworking city like that. And that's why even though when I went to the combine, I've told the story before. I went to the combine. I came back and my offense coordinator said, "Hey, how was the combine?" I said, "Man, it was great, except for Green Bay." I said, "That was a tough interview." I said, "But good thing they're picking down at 24. I won't be around when that." Famous last words for sure. But when I got here, I knew that it was going to be a good marriage between how I grew up and where I come from. And this town, and I studied it. I mean, I studied the area. I got to know, the town, the surrounding areas, the region. Spent time in northern Wisconsin and western Wisconsin, and Door County, and Madison, and Milwaukee, and every town in between. And went down to the Wisconsin Dells, which is the water park capital of the country. Oh yeah, very proud of it. And I got to know the people here, what they're all about, and what makes this region so special. And I embraced it. And embrace it this day, and I'm so thankful that I've had 17 great years in this state and enjoyed every one of them.
Oh, see the way you ended that sentence. A lot of people were, It is now time for my favorite part of the week before we wrap this thing up. And Aaron, we can't appreciate you enough for doing this all season long. 2 MVP seasons, 2 Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays. I mean, you told me.
Big deal.
Let's not put the cart before the horse, or whatever the saying is.
We did last year. Remember, it was we did last year. Last year we were celebrating for like 4 or 5 weeks. It felt like.
Well, yeah. Last year there was some other things going on. There was, some certain statuses that might come into play, but
is there a reason you're playing so fucking good, you think? Are you comfortable with yourself, comfortable with the offense? Why is it, you think? Because right now we're seeing you're about to pick up your 4th, you're 37, I think, and you're playing, you're running still, scoot, you're running MVP chants are raining down as you're still running just as fast as you're always running. Seems like your arm is only getting better at this point. Is there a reason? Is it because just what the state of mind you're in, the age? What is it, you think, that makes you play at this level at this late age of your life?
Well, I'm 38.
Happy birthday! Hey. We missed a couple.
A little over a month ago. Speaking of birthdays, we got a big one coming up in 2 days, I believe.
Who's that?
That's right. My birthday is coming up. Thank you, Aaron.
Is it? Oh, shit! Good friend. I had no idea.
Yeah, you got a Capricorn on this show is about to turn 38.
Oh, Capricorn!
Big astrology guy.
Throw these C's for the Capricorns, dog. Capricorn's the unicorn of astrology, bro. Fucking anomalies, man. Every one of them.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, but Pat, I think
I'm a bull.
And this will foreshadow the book I'm recommending this week, but it really comes down to, and pardon my French, but giving less fucks. I think that it's a maturity that comes from aging, from making mistakes, from failing, from being too sensitive at times, from taking things too personal at times, and it's about growth and learning not to be indifferent, because I think indifferent people are terrified of making choices, and it's a cold place to live. It's about choosing what to care about, and the things that you do care about, it's less things. It's not trying to be a part of every conversation or or get involved in everything, or setting yourself up to be offended about certain things. It's caring more about specific things and less things, and with those things, it's finding ways to solve the problems, because true happiness doesn't come from eliminating all problems in your life. I believe it comes from solving the problems that you have and dealing with the pain and the suffering that is natural in life and is a part of life. It's not fleeing from pain and suffering and running from those things and not dealing with the emotions of situations. It's looking at those head on and saying, how can I solve these problems and make my life a little bit better? And that's what I've tried to do the last couple of years. And I've talked about in this show as well. It's about perspective. And I truly believe this, when you focus on the things that you have more than the things that you don't have, you allow yourself to let gratitude sink in. And when the gratitude sinks in, it is always accompanied by joy, because you're focusing on the blessings that you have, not on the things that you don't have, the things you wish you had, the way you wish your life was that much better, you wish you had this, you wish you had that. You'll always be unsatisfied. But when you take solace in the fact that you're where you're supposed to be, and that life is going to come at you with pain and suffering and failure and frustrations and mistakes, and just trying to solve those problems and do a little bit better next time, it allows you to, I think, be a little gentler with yourself and admit that you're a human. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to please everybody. There's always going to be a 500-pound elephant of possibly hatred and malice waiting for you, whatever decision you make, and that's just a part of life. You got to deal with it and just try and be better the next time.
So you feel freer, it feels like, huh? You kind of feel free.
Yeah, there's a liberation that comes from caring less about the things that don't really matter in this life, I think. And I will say, if anything, and I know the two of you, the best on this show, and so I won't speak for the other boys, but I'm sure they're very similar. There's a lot of joy in being unapologetically yourself. And I think in life we respect people the most often who are that way, who don't try and change or be different or grow meek in situations that require courage, that go quiet in situations that require communication. And that's what I appreciate in both your friendships, is that you guys have always been yourselves. And Pat, I haven't known you as long as I've known AJ. I sat next to AJ for 9 years, and I have so much love for him and appreciation for the friend that he is. But I always admired and was inspired by the fact that AJ was always himself. And he believed that who he was exactly who he was supposed to be, and he didn't have to be different or put on a face for anybody. He was unabashedly himself, and I think there's a lot to be, gained from doing it that way. And what I love about you and the boys is that's who you are. You guys show up every single day, not with an agenda, but with an open mind, and great conversations around important topics, and then you just be yourselves. You're goofy, crazy, silly selves that I think is endearing to so many people who are turning off the mainstream media and the pundits and the negativity on TV and turning to people like yourselves and shows like yourselves, where they can come and have fun and learn something and be inspired by people who say, you know what, I'm going to be myself, and I don't give a fuck about what you want me to be, what you think I should say, or who you think I should be. And I think there's to me, that's why I truly appreciate and am inspired by you guys, by your show, by people like yourselves, because you're going to keep on being you and not shrink, to be something that you think people want you to be. So kudos to you guys.
Well, there was no reason to turn that into a compliment of us, but AJ, you're the man. If you were the one that potentially led to this man being more comfortable and being in his own skin and playing better football than he's ever played, it has been an honor to watch, sir, and we are very grateful that you joined this incredibly professional, journalistic, upstanding, successful show. Those things are left out.
Challenges all the misinformation that's thrown our way. We always push back, right?
On this program. On this program.
Yeah, thanks for creating a safe space for me.
All right. I want to let you know, though, it's fun to watch, and we appreciate the hell out of you.
Thank you, Aaron. Love you, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron. Hey, thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron.
I can't see the other boys. Are they doing it too?
Yeah. 2 hands. Everyone will turn them up there.
I think Ben was first.
Whoa.
Well, we gotta look back on the timeline and when certain
Unbiasedly, I'd
decisions.
say the same, AJ.
Well, we don't know when he made some decisions to stop doing and send it to
yeah,
her.
that's right.
That's neither here nor there. But let's get to the most electrifying part of every single Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. Although we have a group of stooges, we have been a part of a book club that has run wild all over bookstores across this country and globally. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for book 16 of the Aaron Rodgers Book Club. Drum roll, please. Obviously, The Alchemist, way back. Yeah. So many books ago. Right. It was such a good read, I could forget about it because of all the other incredible books that have come after that. The Answer Is by Alex Trebek was absolutely legendary. Then there was a couple Bible-length stories that were told to be put out there that we haven't finished yet, but we will get to. Book 16 of the Aaron Rodgers Book Club is...
First, let me tell you what it's not.
Ayn Rand.
This might disappoint some and cheer some others, but it's not Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, okay. All right. That's good news because I didn't want to have to push back on.
Large book.
That is a big book. I never read that thing, but I heard there's a lot of stuff in there that people don't like.
I actually have never even read it. So I just make it seem like I'm smart. But the book of this week that I actually
is openly fucking with people. Oh, that is awesome.
I foreshadowed a little bit. Is by Mark Manson. It's New York Times bestseller. It's a quick read, and it is called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Shout out, Mark.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I like that subtle art. That's the type of artist I want to talk about.
It's a great book. It really is. And like I said earlier, it's not about indifference. It's or not giving a fuck about anything. It's actually just giving a fuck about less things and focusing on the things that really matter in your life, and not getting bogged down or swamped by things that ultimately don't really matter. And there's a lot of wisdom in this book. It's a book for anybody. People who don't, like cursing, like me cursing, or like reading cursing, might not be the book for you. The F word's used a number of times in the book.
It's in the title.
But there's a lot of wisdom in the book, and obviously millions of people have read it. And I think it can really help anybody who feels kind of mired in a rut or overwhelmed by life at times. And the wisdom in there is actually, there's a story about Buddha early in the book, and not being a Buddhist, but having appreciation for the Buddhist teachings. A lot of it is embracing, like I said earlier, that pain and suffering is a part of life. And I think, because of what we see on social media so often, the greatest of the greats, everybody's best life on social media, I think there's a draw that we have to have the next best thing, or our life has to get better in some way, instead of realizing that there's real pain and suffering that goes on all the time. And that true growth, in my opinion, and in Mark's opinion, is achieved through embracing the pain and the suffering, knowing that that's part of life, and then attacking the problems, which actually leads to happiness. Not a whimsical search for the meaning of life or happiness outside of you, but looking in your life and looking at the problems that arise, embracing them as a part of the growth in life, that failures often lead to the greatest successes, and struggle is often followed by your greatest expansion, and focusing on the things that really matter and truly giving a fuck about those things. And it's really, been meaningful to me, especially over the last couple of years of really trying to focus on what's most important. And it's having the courage for me to stand up for the things that you truly believe in and not worrying about the things that don't matter. That to me is truly having the right mindset and focusing on the things that matter to you in your life. And we all have things that are most important. I think when we narrow that focus and eliminate some of the negativity around us that's either comparing your life to other people or thinking about things you don't have, it for me, I'll speak personally, it's allowed me to really enjoy life, because one of my famous lines, and I'm going to butcher it, but I would ask people to go back and watch it, is the last line delivered by Pam in The Office. And I'll paraphrase, but what she's basically saying is there's a lot of beauty in the simple things. And I truly believe that. And often we miss that by these delusions of grandeur about how life should be, and how it should be living in a mansion with, the hottest woman on the planet, and millions of dollars, and that stuff just doesn't bring you happiness. True happiness is embracing the pain and suffering and failures and mistakes in life, and trying to do a little bit better next time.
Hey, the sun is brightest after the darkest dawn. Here, pal. What type of scotch were you drinking last night?
I got a gift from a buddy of mine who was in town. It was a Macallan 18. Ooh. So big thanks to my buddy for dropping that off. And
Joe Rogan?
Enjoyed the three fingers.
Is that Dr. Joe Rogan out there saying, hey, listen.
Or Alex Jones?
Oh, maybe. It was an InfoWars 18-year age thing. That's awesome. Good for you. Thanks for the book. We appreciate your time. Congrats on the MVP. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Can't wait to read it. Can't wait to watch you this Sunday for a couple series. You're the best, dude.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day, man.
Hey, because you won the MVP, I think it's time.
Ooh. I got my guitar back.
Hell yeah.
Was it in quarantine? Did it get COVID? Is it vaccinated or no? The guitar.
Is it Garth?
Laid it all on my roots. I showed up in booze and ruined your black tie hair. I was the last one to show, the last one to go, the last one you thought you'd see there. Had a surprise, a tear in my eye. Glass of champagne, and I'll be as high as an ivory tower, 'cause you'll never hear me complain, 'cause I got friends in low places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blues away. Guess what? I'll be okay. What a show. Wow. Hell yeah. Woo. That's the show. All right, actually, we got to wrap up this hour. Let's get to a break. I don't know what song's going to be playing right now, but it ain't us playing Garth with Aaron playing the guitar.